Hello, YouTube. This is the Galley La Podcast, and this week we are going to be reviewing One Piece manga chapter 1064, Egghead's Research Stratum. So please like and subscribe if you haven't. And this is your host, Akainu Fanboy, and your co-host, Geboss. And today we get an official confirmation that Aokiji and Van Augur are the ones who kidnapped Pudding. Geboss, your thoughts?
So it's good that we got the confirmation. I would have kind of wanted it to be maybe a different member of the Blackbeard Pirates, because we already see Van Augur. I mean, we really haven't seen Pizarro do anything. And I think he's the only one that we haven't seen doing anything, because Devon and Vasco Shot were at Amazon Lily, and then his Blackbeard's first crew was at is fighting Law right now. But I don't know, I kind of feel like the cover story's kind of redundant, because I mean, it shows that Pudding's with them, but we see Pudding in a jail cell later this episode, or this chapter anyway, so
I think one thing the cover story may serve as is to show that these events happened in the past.
Yeah.
And are not happening right now in a way, right?
Yeah.
So, because if, let's just say we ended the cover story here, also there might be an extension to this cover story that we need to get to, we haven't seen. So I think it is interesting that Blackbeard felt the need to send another Blackbeard pirate along, or, maybe just for safety reasons, because I think Aokiji would have just made short work of everybody, including Katakuri, if he got there.
Don't get that debate started.
Well, I was kind of thinking about this earlier today, though, is that there was a degree of luck that came towards, or fate, if you will, that came towards Blackbeard. And him and Luffy both believe in it. And it was that the Vinsmoke pirates decided to go save their brothers, which, is kind of out of character for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the same time that they're coming to invade, to get Pudding. So I think in a way there's an element of fate too that helped Aokiji and Van Augur. I'm not saying the Big Mom Pirates would have defended and won, but they would have had a much harder time getting Pudding, and maybe as a result, Pudding wouldn't have been able to run away.
Mm-hmm.
If Katakuri got involved, So I do kind of find that interesting, though, that element of fate going on here.
Yeah.
So if this is in the past right now, I mean, I guess I could share these thoughts a little bit later, but I don't know. It's just, I assume this happened during Wano, right? If I had to guess.
Yeah, I would think so.
Because the chapter right now is kind of immediately right after Wano, and obviously, as we said in our theory video, which was vindicated, this would be the ideal time for Blackbeard to get this done.
Yeah.
And also, he made multiple moves. He tried to go after Bo Hancock, and then they captured Pudding, so maybe the rest of the crew was doing other things while, the Wano War was going on, dividing up the crew and everything.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a thought there in itself, too.
Mm-hmm.
Jimperer, you were wrong yet again. He said 100% certitude the fight would not continue next chapter. You were wrong. And one of my main arguments was, if this was a fight in between arcs, that kind of teased us, then I could be sure, they're going to cut it off. But Oda rarely cuts away from fights if it's in the middle of an arc. So that was one of the reasons why I didn't think it was going to happen. But I'm really glad he did it, because this was insanely hype. So what are your general thoughts?
So just about the fight overall, rather than going blow by blow, I hope that it's not over, because it'll leave on a major cliffhanger. But I think that it's good to actually see Law's crew doing something, even though I don't know if it's necessarily as as good as a 3 billion bounty person should have for a crew, or but they're doing something which was more than we gave them credit for last week.
Yeah.
But
so do you think this was bad writing on Oda's part that he didn't show, not to say per se Law's crew, but like, should we have seen Law's crew actually do something during Wano, and that's kind of a negative against Wano, that they never did anything, even though they could have been of help potentially?
I mean, I think we said this last week, like, Kid's crew is kind of in the same position, only Killer got the spotlight, because he was established as a member of the worst generation. But yeah, it is kind of weird that this is the first time we've seen them do anything. Like this whole thing with Sachi, with his like hydro pump move underwater.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, and like their whole thing is like, they're good underwater, which is not something that we've seen all the time. And then Jean Bart being like a meat shield.
Aside from the fish, basically.
Yeah. Which kind of was... It's good to see something different, because it's just mainly been land battles everywhere. And I think that's what...
Yeah.
What people have kind of said, like, for a story about pirates, you don't see a lot of water combat.
You really only saw it with like the end of Whole Cake, you know, when you had the Derma boats attacking the Big Mom fleet.
Yeah.
And the fishermen came in. So that's kind of really the only aquatic combat we really got to see. We had a brief little thing before the Onigashima raid, you know, but it wasn't really anything epic. Which is a cool little clash, I guess. But I kind of like it because Law's like a unique fighter. And he has a unique crew right here, you know, with unique abilities, and he's in the submarine. So it kind of makes sense in that respect. And I kind of like the idea, like, oh, we're from the North Blue, of course you can be cold. So you can see characterization, but again, I like with a lot of things missing from Wano, I kind of wish this was showcased from Wano, because these guys were going to become Yonko level caliber characters, not officially, but in terms of bounty. So I kind of wish like we got to see more of the crew before they got this huge increase, you know, to show their value more. So I kind of thought like that was one deficiency, but what this feels like to me, I get heavy Ace versus Blackbeard vibes, because you have Blackbeard running in carelessly, he gets hurt mortally, you know, and also like his crew is doing well against him, and that's similar. Ace did really well against the Blackbeard pirates initially. You know, so, and, you know, it kind of feels that way, and then it does get left on kind of a cliffhanger too, with like, you know, Law's sword getting grabbed by, and as soon as Blackbeard brings out the Yami Yami no Mi, it's kind of like, okay, it's over in a way, you know, you get that vibe of it, but it was still like a lot of cool action and everything. You got to see Blackbeard's combination, and John Bart was actually kind of cool, but what we can tell, Beppo didn't really do anything in this chapter, which means I think there's more in store for him later on.
Well, I was watching some other reviews today, and somebody pointed out that he could tell where Van Ogre was.
True, yeah.
Whether or not that's hockey or his ears, because he's like cupping his ears. It's not really made clear. But I also wanted to point out that like Law straight away just started using his awakening abilities. Like he's not messing around. And I think that's because even though it was Kaido and Big Mom, he had other people with him to help him. And here it's like, oh, he's by himself. He has to kind of finish it all out, because he said that with his abilities, with his awakening abilities, that he only uses it as a last resort. So that could be something to factor in as well. And I think it's interesting, like Law kind of taunting Blackbeard about everyone on his crew using devil fruit users. Like, must be a pretty raw deal hauling around so many anchors. And then Blackbeard said that weakness is well worth the trade-off. And I might have talked about this before, but I think because Oda hasn't shown like any devil fruit users being killed by the water, and I think he's saving that for Blackbeard.
Yeah.
So I think that might be like an ironic thing in the future.
Also, simultaneously, his crew's trying to sink their ship. You know,
yeah.
Like, the hard pirates kind of have a little advantage here when it comes to being in a water environment. You know what? And I think that might be affecting Law's strategy here too. You know, like, this is why I'm going to go all out, because we have kind of the water advantage here. Because, like, when you think about it, even if the Blackbeard pirates try to attack Law's crew in water, they're going to be struggling to get that accomplished, you know, especially if you're going against a submarine too. You know, it's a lot harder to attack a target in the water, unless, like, you have insane fruits like Akainu and Agokaji or Kizaru, right?
Yeah.
Like, with these, like, massive Logia fruits. Like, from what we can tell, you know, actually, this is kind of one prediction I think might happen. Von Ogre might, like, be able to teleport himself with, like, Sachi, I think is his name, right?
Sachi is the one without the penguin hat, because that's Penguin.
Yeah. So maybe he might be able to switch, or maybe not, because of the water fruit might negate the ability. But overall, though, they seem to kind of be in an uncomfortable situation with Law's crew so far. But it seems like there's multiple people on his crew who can swim underwater, though.
Yeah. And, yeah. But going back to Blackbeard really quick, like, it's kind of consistent in all his fights. Like, he does take damage. Which might be an indication, kind of like how Luffy's, like, the Gum Gum fruit, like, now we know why he was so durable, because it was a Zoan fruit. So
yeah,
it might be a thing that the Yami Yami no Mi is a paramecia, because it doesn't grant intangibility. And when he does his awakening, it could be like the opposite of Nika. Because that's the sun, and then this is darkness. So, because that's just a consistent thing that has been seen, that he's been injured, and he's not shown the Logia intangibility.
Right. And I think there is kind of this... well, and also there is that aspect too, right? That he takes more damage than normal people.
Yeah.
You know, because of the fruit. But then you could say he has a weird body where it kind of balances it out, you know? Because... but yeah, we'll kind of see how that's going on. But it is interesting to see the fodder Blackbeard pirates acknowledging, like, yeah, we're taking a beating. They are strong underwater, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, we're going to take care of them. It was interesting to see Pudding still have faith in her mom. I'm not saying, and I think she would agree with this too, not that Big Mom cares about Pudding, but she gets really pissed off if someone takes her toys or her tools, basically.
Yeah.
And that's why it would infuriate her, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, I wanted to talk about, I want to see the official translation, because I checked the spoilers after the chapter came out to see if there was a discrepancy, because she says, like, Mama's gonna make you eat those words if she's still alive. And in the spoilers, it was saying, like, Big Mom was confirmed dead. So
yeah,
I want to see what the official translation is, and even if they say that she's dead, I still don't believe that she's dead. Because
I mean, I would laugh. I'd have to be in the ER from laughing so hard if that actually happened. If that's how Oda confirmed it. But I kind of share your skepticism, just because some of the ships went missing too when they saw the Cantor ship of Big Mom pirates. You know. Yeah,
there's that, and there's I mean, people always bring up Elbaf, but I think that she's gonna play some sort of a role in there.
If we go to Elbaf.
Yeah, if.
Uh,
I also.
so one thing.
Oh, you go ahead.
Just real quick, but I had one quick thought that maybe potentially Big Mom pirates show up, and Big Mom and Blackbeard fight, and that Blackbeard potentially kills Big Mom, and that's how Law's able to get away. Maybe. That's kind of one thought I've had about this. Maybe. I know that was crazy and that's an insane thought, but Oda's been going pretty insane lately with some of these chapters. Yeah. We have no idea what they are, you know?
Exactly.
And there's only there was only 3 routes to leave Wano.
Yeah.
So let's say that the Big Mom pirates are still alive. Wouldn't they potentially go into that one route where Law is, you know?
Yeah, they have a 33% chance. So.
Yeah, just a thought there, you know? Or Katakuri shows up because he really wants to save his sister, because you know that's really in his character too, you know.
Yeah.
And he knows the Big Mom pirates need her for Big Mom to become the pirate king.
Yeah, I'm curious to see because I think we've confirmed that the cover story is taking place in the past. If Aokiji is just chilling on the ship or not.
Right. And
because if he is, that's a big problem.
Right, and I think this kind of goes into my next thought, where there's a part of me that would have been like, wow, is Akainu about to show up, you know? But he's kind of... Oda's going out of his way saying, Akainu is not going to be able to show up for this fight.
Yeah.
You
and
know?
there's the other thing, really quick. Kobe could be in the cell next to Pudding. Yeah. He could be on the ship, but go ahead.
No. It's fine. But I think when it comes to, because that would be kind of an interesting thought, if Aokiji's still on there, you know?
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, this is a thought that came to mind. So we were kind of discussing the whole sword theory. Randy Troy, again, he talks about it and how Law might be a part of sword, and this theme and this arc, one of the themes of this arc is sword. So it's kind of weird that Oda would break to this fight at this one moment, because he tends to do that after arcs. So if Oda's trying to include this fight within this arc, it needs to be building upon the themes of the arc, which is sword and Vegapunk and the world government. So it would be interesting if somehow Aokiji saved Law because he saw him as a part of sword, or that Garp and Sengoku heard these or a sword agent heard these transmissions with Akainu, and they showed up to save Law's life.
Yeah.
So,
because if
this might, sorry, yeah.
Well, yeah, because if Aokiji is part of sword, then Kobe, and if Law is part of it, then, and Kobe's on the ship, then those are 3 big people that would be there. So. But yeah, you go ahead with your thought.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if them showing Akainu here with the snail is okay, now potentially anybody in the Navy can hear this now to interfere. Right?
Yeah.
And since sword is a secret thing, I can help. I mean, I find it hard to believe to have Aokiji change right here. You know?
Yeah.
That, oh, now I'm going to show I'm a good guy. I feel like it's too early and too premature.
That's true too.
Yeah.
But it's also the thing that Akainu's saying so we're forced to wait again. Being fleet admiral is so damn frustrating. So I'm just wondering if he was just still an admiral, if he would be going out there to fight them.
I think 100% he would, because when he heard about Blackbeard trading Bonnie, he was the first one out there.
Yeah.
You know? And I think... So, and I also think this panel is indicative that Oda's saving him for a lot later on in the series, you know?
Yeah.
Even though he's one of these big names that can rival Blackbeard for the final villain of the series, you know? Oda's kind of saying yeah, this is why he isn't doing anything, even though I have high expectations for him in terms of the story. It's just because he's a fleet admiral, you know? And then we find out the island is called the Winter Island, which I think who knows? That might be a theme or indicative of like the new era coming in.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Those are my general thoughts on the fight, though. I liked it, loved it. It was hype and everything, and I think Oda's going to continue it if he continued it with this chapter. But
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts on this part?
I don't know. We might. I'm 50-50 whether he's gonna show the rest of it or if he's just gonna show the conclusion of it. But yeah, I liked it. But then we get to the other part. Gosh, we talked so long for just this one part.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, basically, it was funny to see Luffy age 70 and all the other old. I mean, Jinbei kind of looks like a kid, to be honest.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the art of when he was a kid.
Yeah, no, I think that's what Oda was going for.
Okay.
Yeah, because him and Bonnie are young, and then Chopper and Luffy are old.
I do like how Oda put in quotation marks a glimpse at a possible future. He's like, okay, he's not gonna look like this 100%. Just saying, he might be looking a lot more hyper.
No, that's a reference to the SBSs where Oda's been drawing. I think them ages 40 and 60, and like he shows like the good timeline and the bad timeline. And I think this is the bad timeline. Age 70 Luffy.
Yeah. But it was cool to kind of get partial confirmation with that theory with Kuma, that he was actually seen publicly as like a tyrant and other people overthrew him. But obviously, Bonnie's not like defending that per se, but my gut reaction is probably like a King Riku thing with Doflamingo, making him seem like a tyrant when he really wasn't, as like a sacrifice type of thing, maybe. And then the world government takes advantage of it, and then they take control of the island, basically. That's roughly how it probably went down.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that there's definitely going to be that twist with Kuma. Because he just doesn't seem like a violent person, and if he's part of the revolutionaries, he's like against what the world government corruption. He wants what's best for his people. So,
and he carries a Bible too. That's kind of part of it, also. He's just kind of like this peace-loving, good ruler.
Yeah, whatever the Bible means in terms of the One Piece world.
Yeah, that's just like
is Jesus canon to One Piece?
I don't. Yeah, there's the level of interdimensional. Who knows? But yeah. So that's just kind of like a modifier too. And Dad used to always say he was part of a very special race. But so what? Being him different doesn't justify forcing him to be a lab rat. So I'm curious what species he is, though.
So. I would think he would probably be like my first thought is Lunarian, because I think he's been depicted with darker skin, but he's probably the lineage has probably been so diluted. So and that makes more sense if he is. Why Vegapunk would want him for this project.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, like they there was the flashback with King, who was Lunarian, and the government wanted him. Was he in a Vegapunk lab? I can't remember.
I know world government are trying to think.
Yeah, we would have to go back. I think it was
implied.
Yeah, we would have to go back and see. But but if that's the case, then if they found someone and they forced him to take part of these experiments, then even if it was like a descendant, not a direct lineage, but I think that's interesting. And then
Well, yeah, we'll see more how that develops. One kind of thought I saw with the futuristic city and their marveling. Oh, like obviously Oda wanted to draw this stuff, like he
Yeah.
was really big on that. It was kind of fascinating to kind of. One thought I had though is like they were said, Cypher Pool don't like destroy everything, but I think when they see the Straw Hats, they may inadvertently like destroy the whole island, Um, and I think it might give Frankie an opportunity to build something to kind of replace it one day, if I had to guess. That's just kind of a thought there, because it's going to be kind of a tragedy where you have all this beautiful science that can save lives and everything. And Vegapunk's greatest frustration is he doesn't have enough workers. And then another frustration is the world government comes to destroy all of his hard work, too.
Yeah.
I think that's a thought, yeah.
Yeah. But I want to know what got him from point A to point B, like how they came up here. Because the last thing we saw, like, they were kind of threatening Lilith.
Yeah.
But the people who got off, so they all can learn stuff new and get upgrades in this. Like Frankie can definitely get upgrades. Sanji learns about Mads and its possible Lunarian heritage.
Usopp can learn about like more of history with Vegapunk.
Yeah, and Usopp and Nami can get upgrades for their equipment.
Yeah.
And then Zoro Zoro and Brook just stay on the ship.
Well, they're swordsmen, so tech doesn't really work well with them, and Zoro wouldn't want tech, with his swords. One thing I think 100% that's going to happen, maybe I shouldn't say 100%, Haku's going to be on the ship, and Zoro's going to confuse him for Usopp again.
That would be funny.
Yeah, it's going to be a repeat.
Yeah.
Oh, Usopp's back.
Yeah.
And especially since they fought that one time, too. So I think that's what's going to happen, and then Brooke's definitely going to confuse it for Usopp, too.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, it's just, out of all the people who got left to stay on the ship, they're, like, the most likely to kind of do that gag again with Kaku. I don't know, just a thought there.
Yeah.
And there's probably an arc for Frankie, so it is interesting how they're bringing back the villains of the arc that Frankie was introduced in.
Yeah.
So that's just a kind of another thematic point there too. But and then you see the new fits and everything, which are Sanji always gets like the Hawaiian, design. It's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. These hairy ass legs.
Yeah, yeah. And then Frankie looks like he's about to go to a rave.
I just want old Frankie hair back. That was so iconic. But
yeah.
But then we get the it looks like it's Shaka, the number one satellite, talking to Dragon, and it seems like he knows that CP0's on the way because he said, like, I think I'll be dead soon.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that he's talking with Dragon, because I think I've seen it somewhere that there was a theory that Vegapunk was going to be a revolutionary. And that makes sense with his ties to Kuma and everything, and letting him guard the Sunny for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But
right.
Yeah, do you have any thoughts on this, or?
I think there's a high chance of him dying just for one reason. So either it's because of his health, or he thinks CP0 is coming, but I think it would be unfair if Vegapunk was alive for the final war. In a similar way, I think it would be unfair if Shanks was alive, Big Mom, or Kaido. They're people that are just too strong and powerful from the old generation that would kind of make it unfair for Luffy to have someone that powerful on his team. And so from that thematic point, I think that's why Vegapunk's probably gonna die, but he is gonna like provide them with upgrades and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see, because I think in this final saga, we're definitely going to see more of Dragon. So I want to know the connection between everyone.
Right. And I think probably pretty soon we're going to find out what happened to Mary Joie, with Sabo and all that stuff too, because of Bonnie, Vegapunk, Dragon connection. There's a lot of potential to get filled in about what happened there too.
Like Oda's just been loving just sprinkling these little things with Bonnie over the last couple chapters, because like she mentioned, oh yeah, I saw Sabo, I should probably mention that to Luffy. And then this, oh, my dad was part of a special race. And it's like, well, that makes her part of that race too.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel shoehorned. She feels natural, and she, it does feel like a natural outgrowth of the story too, and everything. So
yeah,
I do enjoy that. I just think it's funny and interesting how much Oda is dumping on us.
Yeah.
This one chapter was just packed to the brim with content.
Yeah. Wano. Yeah, looking back, 4 years in Wano kind of just dragged. People were complaining about Dressrosa, but yeah.
And so this is why I'm kind of feeling happy. I mean, I don't feel like it's rushed. I feel like it's a point where we need to get this stuff, and and it's filled with surprises. Oda's killing all the theories out here. He's a merciless guy right now. And which is good because I want this to be unpredictable and everything. But overall, I thought it was a fantastic chapter, though. And those are my closing thoughts. What about you?
I just noticed, just looking this over, I think this is the first time we've ever seen Frankie wear pants.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm shocked. But besides that, break next week, boo. But but yeah, just these. How long have we been in this arc? Like 5 chapters, or a little bit longer. But
yeah,
like this has been so much. It's been such a nice breath of fresh air since Wano.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of fan favorite characters are coming in, and we're just getting lore dump and matchups no one really predicted ever that was going to happen. So, yeah, it's pretty tight, though. But, so I'd say that's it for this week, and we hope to drop some content in between. Sorry we weren't able to do last time. Some stuff came up, but we hope to get that accomplished pretty
Hurricane.
soon. But anyways, hurricane, I guess there's that, but thank you, everyone, for listening. Like, subscribe, and we will see you all soon. Peace.
See ya.